You're looking at fresh ADP data, and we're going to break down pretty much everybody in the top 30 overall, and I'm going to tell you who's good, who's bad, who's a value, who's being overdrafted, who to stay away from, who's going to be a gem or a riser, a soon-to-be riser. We're breaking it all down right now, the Fantasy Football Show ADP edition. It starts right now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Take a lap.
Looking at ADP data, and this right here is accurate data. The most accurate data you can find because people are actually putting money down and they're not quitting mid-draft and they're not doing dumb drafting. It costs an entry fee to participate in feeding this data. So it's ultra accurate. And if you want to participate, use code Smitty. Better yet, use the link in the description because it links the promo code Smitty to your account and you get up to $100 bonus match dollar for dollar on your first deposit. JJ number one. JJ's going number one 7 or 8 times out of 10. Jamar Chase number 2. If it's not JJ at 1, it's usually Jamar. McCaffrey goes 1 once in a great while, but this is your top 3: JJ, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, and I think all are very, very fitting in the top 3. I take all these guys on a rotational basis. If I'm drafting at the 1 spot, I won't just go JJ every single draft I do. I'll mix it up. I'll go JJ, I'll go Jamar Chase. I worry a little bit about McCaffrey, I'm not gonna lie. Just the likelihood of injury in San Francisco, the workload he's had. Somehow I still fear, even though he made it out last year without getting hurt, I fear a whole season with Shanahan's gonna get him hurt. Just a fear. I'm not saying it'll happen. I just have a little bit of a worry or concern that makes it hard for me to put him in 1 or 2 in those draft slots. But I do like McCaffrey at 3. I've been drafting him very comfortably at 3. The interesting ADP riser right here is Cooper Kupp. He was down at like 5, 6, 7. Now he's creeping back up. People are starting to remember, hey, this guy could be the number 1 overall wide receiver. This guy could be the number 1 overall player in fantasy football 2023. And if we look at his stats here, I mean, keep in mind, he is 1 year removed from 1947, 145 receptions in half PPR or PPR. That is a massive amount of points. And 16 touchdowns, the Triple Crown winner. People forget the Triple Crown season. 1 injury plague season makes people forget a lot of things. And I know Matthew Stafford's a worry. I know the Rams offense and the Rams team in general is a tiny bit of a worry, but Cooper Kupp is more than capable of earning his number 4, number 5, number 6 overall value. All these things so far, even KELCE at number 5, Tyreek Hill at number 6, those are all.
You've just been Smitty approved.
KELCE worries me a little bit because of the amount of games this guy's played and the fact that he's never really been hit with this injury we've been worrying about year over year over year. And while I won't let it affect my willingness to draft him at 4 or 5 or 6 in a best ball draft, I still find myself, whenever I do draft him, circling back to, I kind of find myself going, I wish I took Tyreek Hill, or I wish I took Bijan. Only because when you go tight end early, which is a huge advantage getting KELCE, you've such a big advantage at the tight end position. You're chasing running back and you're chasing wide receiver all the rest of the draft. And there's 100,000 ways to win. I've built phenomenal teams going KELCE in round 1 in best ball. So don't get me wrong. I like my share of KELCE at 5 or 6 or whatever. But his 2022 season, 110 receptions, 1338, 12 TDs. I think he's going to be potentially more along the lines of the season prior. 92, 1125, 9 TDs. He's getting older. We got to expect at some point. I know maybe it's not this year. Maybe we're a year early trying to even insinuate that he's going to have a little bit of a drop off. But let's just say he misses a couple games. He has 90, 1090 or 1125 again. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And 9 touchdowns. That won't be worth number 4 or 5 overall. To me, not if you can go attack the tight end position and get the next big breakout top 5, top 6 tight end. How do you do that, Smitty?
Smitty, how do you do that, though? Who is that guy?
Well, lucky for you, this boy right here was the number 1 tight end drafting ranker in the fantasy football industry across the board, according to Fantasy Pros from 2021, 2020, and 2019. Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, those 2 guys were ranked higher by me than anybody in the entire fantasy industry, according to Fantasy Pros. So I do know a little something about finding the next breakout tight end. So if you want to avoid the pitfalls that sometimes follow going KELCE in round 1, those pitfalls being you're chasing wide receiver and running back the entire draft and you're behind the 8 ball, I got your back. We'll go find the next tight end. We'll go find the next couple breakout guys to put on your roster so you can avoid having to overspend on KELCE. Not that it's not worth it, not that you can't win, not Not that I won't do it in best ball in a few drafts, okay? I already have. But I like Tyreek Hill a lot, and I think this guy, he also concerns me long-term, but not for 2023. He's kind of a take-it year-by-year type of guy for me. These fast guys with their hamstrings, they wear them down paper thin. Think Deshaun Jackson. You eventually start breaking down because you're literally firing that hamstring off. Those hamstrings off at 100% over and over and over, and it creates some problems for these speed guys. So I'm worried about eventual drop off, but look at his difference in yardage in 2021 and 2022. 17-10 versus 12-39. Miami Mike's offense is feeding this man so much production. And imagine if he gets touchdowns, which I totally think he could. Even if you mix in running touchdowns, you mix in a little Mike White action. If he gets into the lineup, 10 to 12 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill in 2022. Let's call it 15 or 1,600 yards. Let's call it another 115 to 120 receptions. That's a top 5 or 6 overall season. I'm feeling more and more comfortable. Not that I want to say I wasn't earlier, but maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was taking KELCE a little more. I was taking a couple guys down here a little more. Maybe Adams was in the mix and now he's not. And I'll get to Adams in a minute why I'm avoiding Adams altogether. But I think Tyreek Hill's, I'm more and more comfortable with him at number 4 or 5. I could take Cooper Kupp over him, and I could take Hill over Cooper Kupp. Like, I'm not comfortable with Tyreek Hill at 4 and 5. Smitty approved Tyreek Hill 2023.
You've just been Smitty approved.
When we get down to number 7, which is Stephon Diggs, we start to say, okay, consistent. I mean, like, worth going at 4 or 5? Yeah. Worth going right at 7? Of course. I mean, almost a value, almost a protected in, safe value play. 110 receptions last year, 1455 and 11 TDs. I mean, look at the reception difference between, let's say, Diggs last year, 110 receptions for 1455. And let's go up to Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown season, 145 receptions. Like, can you imagine if Diggs was fed a few more receptions? If he was given like 120, 130, it's pretty easy for me to imagine Diggs getting like 120, 125 reception season here coming up. I don't know that he'll do it on the consistent. He seems to float around the 100 to 110, but it's possible for him to be a 120 reception guy. But let's just say he duplicates 110. He duplicates, let's call it 1,400 flat and 10 to 11 touchdowns. We won't even give him more. That is number 7, number 8 overall. He's very comfortable there. McKenzie's gone. Gabe Davis has been disappointing. Maybe they go after Hopkins, and maybe they go after somebody. Hopkins could be traded by the time you watch this video. But I really do believe that Diggs is very worthy of this number 7 overall pick. What I don't know that I love, and you're going to say, Smitty, you love A.J. Brown. What are you talking about? I don't know that I like A.J. Brown this high. I loved A.J. Brown at the 12-13 turn, but we're talking number 8 overall. 88 receptions last year, 63 the year before. And granted, I know that you can't really look at 2021. You got to look at 2022 because the offense is what it is here right now. Right here, right now, this is what A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith are dealing with. The offense that's right in front of them. Nothing matters in the past anymore. This is a different system for A.J. Brown, but 88 receptions is still very low. 1496, 11 TDs. He's so efficient. Like, even back in Tennessee, this guy would do so much with so little. And you always said, imagine if A.J. Brown got 115 to 120 receptions like Diggs or any of the wide receivers above him. Imagine what his numbers would look like. His 1496 and 11 TDs on 88 receptions. You could look at this and go, another year in the system. A.J. Brown could finally get that 120 reception type of season. And then what do his numbers look like? 1,815 touchdowns on 120 receptions? Maybe higher. But I think it's safe to say that he kind of does linger under the 100 reception total. We've had a lot of time to watch A.J. Brown. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. He's ultra efficient, and he's always efficient. He doesn't let you down, so he's going to get you the 1,400 yards. He's going to get you the 9 to 12 touchdowns, and he's going to get you about 80 to 95 receptions. The one part that worries me, though, with the lower numbers across the board in some of those categories, even though he's ultra efficient, is that he's got a history of knee injuries. And so at this territory, at number 8, I don't know that I love A.J. Brown here as a very safe pick. He's a high upside pick, but high risk pick here. Or if not high risk, very medium to almost high risk with enough upside to understand it and to clean up with it. You still could do very well. Again, AJ Brown gets 105 receptions. You're getting 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns minimum. But I do fear the knees. I do fear that this is a little bit of an overpay, and there are other players I just like a little bit better. Not a ton better. I don't think I'd drop him much more than 11 or 12. This is not me saying disapprove or avoid AJ Brown. This is just me calling out. He's kind of risen up to his peak, and he could earn that peak. I mean, if he does well again this year, similar to last year, he earns this. And then you're like, okay, I didn't overpay, but I didn't hit a home run with it. I'm just more of the thinking, I want a player that I'm going to hit a total home run with and not have to worry about, okay, everything's got to go perfect to get my value back. Whew, it worked out good. I just feel like he has a little bit of that feel to him. Adams at number 9 overall, he's not dropping all that much yet on the news that his quarterback has turned into Jimmy Garoppolo. His quarterback went from Derek Carr, turned into a pumpkin, and turned into Jimmy Garoppolo. I am so off of Adams anywhere inside the first round.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
A lot of people are going to come in here and complain. A lot of people will agree, but a lot of people will come in and say, oh, he's not going to drop off that much. Hello, welcome to the stream, Davante Adams Dynasty owners. Welcome to the stream, people that have already drafted him a ton already, an underdog. I can't help you. I know you want me to whisper sweet nothings in your ear and say Davante Adams will be okay. I know you want me to do that ASRM whatever stuff and go, Davante Adams, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Not going to happen. I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I think that Davante Adams, this whole stat line that we're used to seeing, 1,500 yards, 100 to 115, 120 receptions, 11 to 14 touchdowns, might be gone. Can he still get 1,200 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns? Yeah. Can he still be a low-end wide receiver 1? Sure. Is he worth the number 8, number 9 overall pick? No, I do not believe he is. And even if I'm wrong, I'm taking a player that is just a whole lot safer. Even if I'm wrong on this, I won't be wrong. That's how we roll. That's what's so special about taking safer players. Even when you're wrong, you're not wrong because you got someone that was just safer. It comes down to safety. It's risk management, Bob. And Angry Angus is going to come in here. I know it in the comments. It says, Smitty, Adams.
You're wrong, Jimmy G. He threw to Debo. Didn't you watch it? He's a winner. Jimmy's a winner, Smitty. Debo did great under Jimmy G.
If you don't understand the difference or why that even happened by now, I don't know that I can really help you, because that was scheme, that was Shanahan, that was design plays for Debo at or behind the line of scrimmage that had nothing to do with Jimmy G. Jimmy G practically handed the ball to him. And so I don't think that design play or scheme is going to be there. It's just not for Davante Adams. They aren't turning him into a wide back, and the staff doesn't know how to deploy that type of scheme and offense with all the polling. And there's no way Davante Adams turns into Debo, and that's the only shot Jimmy G has, and that's the only shot Davante Adams has. And let me make another prediction here. Adams will probably get hurt.
Oh, here we go. Now he's a doctor again. He's predicting injuries.
Jimmy G throws what we call hospital balls. Footballs that put players on the sideline. Footballs that put players in the hospital, because he throws up these hospital balls, and Davante Adams is going to get clobbered trying to get to them. He's going to work so much harder to try and get a lot less. He's going to end up probably getting hurt. And we'll revisit this at the end of the year, and if I'm wrong, so be it. But I'm here to warn you. I'm here to shoot off warning shots, and I'm telling you right now, Davante Adams, run. He's not worth anywhere near a first-round pick in 2023. Not with all the other players that are surrounding him. Davante Adams and Jimmy G.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
So that's what, number 9? So Davante Adams at 9. Lamb Chops at 10. Lamb Chops at 10 is pretty decent, but I kind of get those same vibes of AJ Brown. Love him. Love Lamb Chops. I love AJ Brown. These are moon men. These are guys that are still on my, draft them. They're amazing. They're going to help you win leagues type of list. But when you look at data and changing ADP and evolving ADP, and that Kellen Moore is gone and McCarthy's calling plays and he wants to run the damn ball, and we don't know how it's all going to shake out, and then there's the concerns about Dak, and then now you got Brandon Cooks. I feel like it's just a little bit of a okay, I love Lamb at the 12, 13 turn or at 14 or 15 overall where he was going like last year. Sometimes he crept up to the bottom of 1. But I just feel like I don't think I could take him over Bijan. And I think I like Garrett Wilson over Lamb this year. Not saying to take Garrett Wilson here. I'm just saying maybe you go Bijan here and you go Garrett or Olave or somebody else down in round 2 as your wide receiver 1. It's just balancing the players that you're trying to select so you can get the best combination of players on down. For me, I love Lamb. For me, I look at Lamb's numbers and I say to myself, what a man. 107 receptions in 2022, much better than the 79 in the previous year. 1359, much better than the previous year, 1102. 9 TDs versus 6. He had nothing but better numbers across the board. 156 targets versus 120. I love me some CeeDee Lamb. But whenever an offense changes and the play calling is going to be different now under McCarthy, he wants to run more than ever, you have to pause a little bit. The addition of Brandon Cooks, you have to pause a little bit and you have to say to yourself, okay, is there a potential that we see something in the middle or maybe a reverting back to the 2021 numbers, which would make him a fine wide receiver. It makes him second round material. That's my whole point here. Same thing with A.J. Brown. I am not anti-Lamb in 2023. I am not anti-A.J. Brown. I just want them moved down about 4 or 5 spots before I'm like, this is great ADP value right here. Right now, it's ceiling value. You're going to maybe get this back. And if you draft Lamb and he ends up doing another 10 TDs, 1,300 yards, and 102 reception-wise, you did good. And I'm not saying that can't happen and you would get what you paid for. Congratulations, everything worked out great. That's all very, very possible. In fact, if I got a text on my 101 text line, which you can get at The Fantasy Football Show, by the way, The Fantasy Football Show, 101 text device, bold predictions, rankings, all my content year round, mind you. This is not this, oh, I'll be back in July content. This is year round. Rankings are always year round. If someone texted me on the text line at thefantasyfootballshow.com and they said,
Smitty, I just took lamb chops at 109.
I wouldn't tell him to take a lap. I wouldn't say, that isn't a good pick. I would say, good job. Lamb's great. I'm just trying to tell you, if I could massage the ADP data around a little bit, I would prefer lamb chops down 2 or 3 spots. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. Not against him. Not going to hit the Smitty disapprove button, but I don't know that I love the value right here of JT coming off of last season. Heading into as it stands right now, a questionable quarterback situation. If they go get Lamar, and the Colts are a dark horse candidate to get Lamar Jackson after the NFL draft, because I don't think they want to surrender this number 4 pick in the next year's draft pick for Lamar. So once this draft is over, and maybe they draft a Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe they trade this down a little bit. They draft Jackson Smith and Jigba. They get Quentin Johnson. They get Addison. They preemptively get their QB and risk maybe they're going to roll with Minshew if worst case scenario happens and they don't get Lamar. But maybe they go get Lamar. They're kind of a dark horse for me. Then all of a sudden JT, he climbs up my board. Instead of being down here at number 11, JT could climb up to 7, 8 or 7 7, 8, maybe even 6, but probably 7 or 8 would be where I'd have JT if he had Lamar, if he had a good quarterback. Lamar could vulture a little bit, I get that, but I'd rather have the chains moving and all that positive offensive movement than an offense that can't move the ball down the field. 3 and out, no goal line opportunities, very rarely in the red zone. You don't want that. You'd rather have Lamar and some of the vulturing, but an offense that can move and matriculate down the field. As it stands right now with the current quarterback situation that the Colts are looking at, Taylor feels a tad bit high at 11. Eckler, you guys know how I feel about Eckler. He's falling a lot. I'm very surprised that he's not at 4 or 3 or 2 overall, given last year and given how much people have pushed back on me with the old Eckler's 28 years old, be a little wary. Somehow, and I'd like to think we have a little bit to do with the ADP bump, but somehow he's going at 12, 13 turn. That's actually not bad. I will say that if you invest in Eckler at 12 or 13, I'm not going to tell you to take a lap. I'm not hitting the Smitty disapprove button. I actually don't mind it at all, but my cautionary tale is trade him after 2 months of play. Trade him after week 8. Trade him before double-digit weeks kick in. He could be a top 3 or 4 overall player for the first 8 weeks of the season. And he might get traded. Maybe he goes to Cincinnati. That'll surely bump his value because people will just be excited about it. Maybe he gets traded to the Bears. People will be very excited about it.
Smitty, he wouldn't go to cold weather.
This guy wants a little bonus, a little payday, a little extra reconstruction of the contract. That's all. He'll play in the cold. But we don't know where he ends up. He could be back in a Chargers uniform. Maybe the market isn't what he thought. Maybe teams are dumb and they don't realize a second-round pick for Eckler, worth it if we're the Buffalo Bills, worth it if we're the Eagles, worth it if we're the Bears, worth it if we're the Bengals especially. Teams aren't always logical. This is almost borderline incompetence that you wouldn't go get a Derrick Henry or an Austin Eckler if you're a club when you only have to spend a second-round pick. But we never know what's going to happen in the NFL, do we? People covet their second-round picks like they're gold, and I don't understand it at all. But logic doesn't always play into this situation. So Eckler at we have him here at number 12, right? So I'm going to say Smitty approve the 12 value versus like 3, 4, or 5. I'm saying avoid him in round 1. This is borderline outside of round 1, 12, 13 turn. But caveat, trade him by week number 9 before week 9 kicks off. Enjoy weeks 1 through 8. And no, I'm taking away your ammunition, Angry Angus and Crazy Caleb and Negative Noah. I know you guys are coming in and you're going to go, Smitty, Eckler did great. It's week number 4. He looks like a monster. Do you feel like a moron? Because you said Eckler was going to get hurt at some point. No. Caleb, no Angus, because I already told you that would happen. In fact, it's going exactly to plan. Eckler having a very good start, very, very possible. I even said go get him and trade him by week 8, Caleb and Angus. I know I'm going to deal with that. Or Smitty, Eckler looks great. It's week 4. Exactly.
Smitty, Eckler's going crazy. It's week 5. He has 500 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Do you feel stupid?
No, I don't. Exactly to plan. Thank you for pointing out that we predicted it correct so far. Austin Eckler at 12 or 13 is fine. Trade him by week 8. Trade him by week 9. That's 12. That's our top 12 right in front of your face. Every list here is 12 players. Number 13, Bijan Robinson. Right now, we do a draft with our people. When we're in a draft together, he goes like number 7. Bijan going at the 12-13 turn. Let me make this abundantly clear. You're about to say, Smitty,
isn't that at a ceiling value?
No. I believe Bijan Robinson as a rookie could finish as the number 1 overall fantasy football running back in 2023 as a rookie. In fact, I'm predicting it. So anywhere outside of round number 1 is an absolute win a league moment. Even at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you could win a league if Bijan Robinson is that good. You could win a league with Bijan Robinson at number 10. At number 9, I'm telling you right now, I want you to take advantage of the 12-13 turn pick if you can get him there, because what an amazing duo you could have. Garrett Wilson's been going higher and higher. Sometimes I'll take Bijan and Garrett Wilson at 12 and 13 at the bookend picks, but I like Garrett Wilson to fall where he's falling here. So this is 13 overall. This is 14. Garrett Wilson's 15. That is such unbelievable value still. I know a lot of people think, oh, that's climbed too high. Garrett Wilson's not going to be able to produce enough to earn that value. He can. Where we don't want Garrett Wilson to linger is like number 8 overall, 9 overall, 10 overall. Those are getting to the point where they feel a lot like I described A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb. Garrett Wilson could easily earn number 8 overall value, but are you wiping your forehead when it happens versus like, oh my God, I'm going to win my league if he does this? So Garrett Wilson at number 14 overall. Bijan Robinson at number 13 overall.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Let me make this point abundantly clear. Right now, Bijan's number 13 overall ADP is win a league material beyond win a league material. If he climbs, he's still win a league material, but I want you to understand that I'm excited and I want you to try and capitalize on number 13 overall. There is no better value so far on the ADP data that we've looked at than Bijan at number 13. If you're able and patient enough to try and work this out, get him at number 13, not at number 7, because you're excited about my statement that he could be the number 1 running back in fantasy football 2023 as a rookie. Try your best to get him where the value is, where he can explode from that value. And if there's a setback, you don't even lose. You don't even do bad. You still do well, even if he has a slow start and I'm not 100% right and he's running back number 4 at the end of the year. This right here makes it so you hit a home run even if he's a top 5 running back. Taking him at 6 or 7 overall or 5 makes it closer and closer, inches closer and closer to you needing him to be what I predict him to be in order to break even. Barkley, we skipped over Barkley. I apologize, Barkley. So number 14, Barkley. I like that value. I think Barkley could easily earn that value. He's a top 5 potential running back that you're getting in round 2. That's total Smitty approval. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't mind that value at, what is this? Number 16 overall, I'm fine with that. Jalen Waddle, 17 overall, I'm fine with that. Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Hurts, all smashes. Those guys arguably belong at 13, 14, and 15.
You've just been Smitty approved.
While I'm not a guy that's going to tell you to go take these guys in round 1 because you can argue and justify it, and you can argue that these guys deserve to be 1, 2, and 3 overall if you're using the logic and not this old, you don't take quarterbacks early, which I pushed against my entire career. And it's not until this season in 2023, after almost a decade of not seeing QBs go early, we're finally seeing people circle back and go,
you know what? That QB early isn't so bad after all, is it?
And there's still value in Burrow, who's falling clearly a lot further than these guys. There's still value in waiting on a quarterback to a degree, waiting on Fields, waiting on Burrow, maybe waiting on this year's version of Hurts and Burrow, which might be Trevor Lawrence. All those are ways to win a league. You just need to understand that when I argue in favor of early quarterback, no one else is doing it. I feel like an advocate for it, or I have. Now people are kind of circling back around. Look, the ADP data is telling us Josh Allen, 18 overall roughly, Mahomes, 19 overall, Hurts, 21 overall. Their ADPs are nestled very nicely in the mid to late second round where they belong. But these aren't just players that belong in that territory. They win you a league in this territory. They win you a league in this territory. Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, even Burrow would, but guess what? Burrow's not here. Burrow's down here, so we're going to take advantage of that, aren't we? We're not going to force Burrow. We're going to take him in round 3 with a smile.
You've just been Smitty approved.
So absolute home runs here. Devontae Smith, I like him here. I like to draft him. I mean, 21 overall is a tad bit high for me. I love him as my 3rd drafted player. So I'm not saying avoid. I'm just saying that you're drafting him a little bit at a ceiling value, if you will, like similar to the AJ Brown argument above. I will say this though. I love Devontae Smith so much. If AJ Brown does suffer some sort of injury in 2023, and I hate to say it because I love AJ Brown, but his knees concern me. His knees really concern me. Once you start getting meniscus cut away, it does something to the balance of the knee. You end up having other knee issues. There's a shorter shelf life for your knees when you have meniscus tears. Meniscus tears are worse than ACL tears, to be honest with you. If you have a significant meniscus tear and you need to go in and have a cleanup surgery, it puts your knee off balance. Think about it like a car alignment. The meniscus right here is kind of like the brake pads or the alignment of the car. Once you start cutting into it and the knee kind of shifts over, you have other issues and wear and tear that happens differently. Your knees could start falling apart and suffering all kinds of problems a lot earlier when you have meniscus tears. A clean ACL tear is not as bad as meniscus damage. For the long term, the recovery of the meniscus injury initially is shorter than the ACL tear. So someone that doesn't know what I'm actually saying might be like, "You're stupid. He thinks ACLs are better than meniscus tears." Not saying that it doesn't take you out for the year when you have an ACL tear. I'm saying long term for the knee. And so I worry about the injuries for AJ Brown. But back to Devontae Smith. If AJ Brown misses 4, 5, 6 games, Devontae Smith could be one of the steals of 2023. Because what if he starts playing like a top 5 wide receiver for 4, 5, 6 games? I mean, he practically was like wide receiver 6, 7, depending on your scoring last year. Imagine what he'd do with AJ Brown out for 4, 5, 6 games, which I'm not hoping for. I hope AJ Brown stays healthy. I love AJ Brown. Sometimes he comes on my Instagram, and I didn't get a chance to interview him last year, but we did the 2 prior years. So AJ Brown, I hope AJ Brown comes back on the show heading into 2023, and we'll tell him he's staying healthy. He's staying healthy. T. Higgins at 21 overall, a little high for me. I get the whole premise. You're still getting, even though he's the number 2 on his team, a guy that's number 2 on the Bengals is better than some guys that are number 1 on their team. I get it, but this feels a lot like what I've been talking about. A little bit too early for my liking. Could they earn it? Absolutely. But you're wiping your forehead after it happens versus like, hey, he could falter a little bit and still earn me this value. He can't really falter from this spot. He's got to hit a home run out of the park with no hesitation, no setbacks, no injuries, no slow starting, no big slumps throughout the middle of the year. I don't know that I love this 21 overall value. Kenneth Walker at 22.
Steal.
Remember when I told you that Bijan was the #1 overall player on this board in terms of ADP value, exploding from their ADP? The #1 ADP winner was Bijan Robinson, up here at 13 overall. Remember when I said that? The new winner of ADP data as of this moment is Kenneth Walker at number 22 overall. We're talking about a potential top 5 player overall. Kenneth Walker at 22 overall is the new ADP value king.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
Bijan's still right there, but I want you to know that Kenneth Walker at 22 is criminal. Kenneth Walker at 22 is a person's dream come true if they go Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase or whatever at the top and they don't have the RB yet. You get Kenneth Walker, a potential top 5 running back. This guy could be running back 1 quite arguably. Absolute smash. Smitty approved.
You've just been Smitty approved.
At 23 overall, we have Chris Olave, who, in my opinion, is placed just fine. I know a lot of people are like, this guy's climbing, Smitty. I don't like it. Now he's my second drafted player. He's a guy you're taking at like 18 to 24, and you're feeling really good about it. Why? Because he could be a top 5 wide receiver in 2023. I'm going to actually say, even at his climbing ADP, Chris Olave is Smitty approved at 24, 25, 23 overall.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Now, do I want him climbing any higher? No, I don't. His ability to absolutely annihilate his ADP starts to dissipate as he climbs up the mid to the top of round 2. So make sure you're not reaching on him because I said that comment. He's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. Don't let that comment make you think unclear. Remember when I said that Bijan Robinson at number 13 overall was the steal of ADP data? And you remember when I said that Kenneth Walker was the steal of ADP data at 22 overall? I said it just a few minutes ago. I'm sure you remember. I give you the new ADP king in terms of value, Breece Hall at number 25 overall.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
This is the most Smitty approved value we've come across yet.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Doesn't mean I don't love Bijan at number 13. Doesn't mean I don't absolutely love Kenny Walker at 22, but Breece Hall at number 25 overall. He is the belle of the ball. He is Breece Hall. He stands 8 feet tall at this ADP of 25 overall.
Breece Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Breece. He's Breece.
He does a whole of a job. A whole of a job. A whole of a job.
Breece Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a jale bayot.
And if you want to win your league, all you have to do is look to number 25 overall on the ADP ranking board. This man could be your first drafted, third drafted player. This guy could be the first player drafted in the 3rd round. Can you imagine walking out of your draft with a potential Jamar Chase, Kenneth Walker, and Breece Hall? Are you out of your mind?
Get Breece.
We're going to take this thing to pick 30. We'll do this video like on a weekly basis maybe. And we might go into the deeper rounds on one video. We might go just into the top 10 in one video. We might do a top 30 like here. We might look at just wide receiver, ADP rankings. We're going to make this ADP ranking show a staple here on the Fantasy Football Show. But if we're looking at 25 overall in Breece Hall, 26 overall DK Metcalf, Henry 27, Chubb 28, Jacobs 29, Tony Pollard 30. Etienne and Pollard I like a lot. I love those guys. What we don't see is Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow here. I don't hate any of those. DK seems a little high, but he could have earned that. Nick Chubb's decent value. Like Eckler, I say trade him by week 8, week 9, week 10 though. But I think Chubb could start off the year very well. Like he did last year, he exploded. But then he started to do a little less at the end of the year. He scored, I think, no touchdowns in the final 5 or 6 games. So I love what Chubb did at the beginning of the year. I think he'll probably do that again, much like Eckler. Blow up for a couple months, but trade Nick Chubb by week number 8, 9, 10. I love Pollard around the 30 overall pick. I love Etienne around the 30 overall pick. These are both potential top 5 running backs. You heard me. I know not everybody can be included in the top 5 5. It's a potential ranking, potential top 5. Pollard could be potentially the number 1 overall running back. Quite frankly, he could. I'm not saying expect it. I'm not saying draft him there. I'm not trying to change the way you're thinking about Pollard either. I don't want you taking him at the top of 2 because I said that. That's not the point. The point is at 30 overall, you're looking at Pollard, ETN, potential league-winning home runs. Those are totally league-winning. I'm going to end it on the fact that we don't see Joseph Burrow. We don't see Joseph Burrow until we scroll down to number 38 overall. He has entered the 4th round, ladies and gentlemen. And you know why? Because of the man you see right above him, who I also love. I don't want anybody to think I'm hating on Justin Fields, but Justin Fields has moved ahead, leapfrogged ahead of Joe Burrow. And when that happens, it only moves him down. It doesn't mean that Fields and Burrow will be ranked together side by side up high. Usually when there's a riser in the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks, there's a faller. And Joe Burrow is the benefactor of said situation. And while I love owning Fields, I do. I want Fields in at least 1 or 2 leagues because I think the Bears are going to win the division. You heard me correctly. They're not even done yet. They still got the NFL draft and people are running their mouth about the Bears. The Bears are not who you thought they were. But Joe Burrow at 38 overall into round 4. Let me just put it this way. Remember when I told you about Bijan Robinson being the steal of the draft at number 13? Remember when I told you about Walker being the steal of the draft at 22? Remember when I said the king of ADP data was 24, 25 overall, Breece Hall? Well, throw all that out the window. The new ADP king in terms of value is Joseph Burrow at number 38 overall in the 4th round. In recap, we got Joe Burrow at 38 overall. 4th round. Breece Hall, 25 overall. Top of round 3. Kenneth Walker, 22 overall. Bottom of round 2. And Bijan Robinson, 2.1. Number 13 overall. How do you win a league?
Hey, Smitty, how do I win a league?
I just told you.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.